So here's two examples of how we can use the odd properties and even properties of trigonometric functions. Okay, sine is an odd function. So we just saw this on a previous slide. Where'd it go? Here it is. So what we're saying when we say sine is odd, if you want to take the sine of a negative angle, right? And we're saying x, but really, what are the inputs here? Angles. So if you're asked to find the sine of a negative angle, you can find the sine of the positive angle, which may be easier to identify and locate on the unit circle if you're not comfortable with negative angles, right? Take the sine of the positive angle, and then whatever you get, just take the opposite of that answer. Okay, so for example, with this, if finding negative 7 pi over 6 is difficult for you, and we can talk about that too, but let's just find the sine of 7 pi over 6. Now, 7 pi over 6 is on the unit circle down here in quadrant 3. The sine value of an angle on the unit circle is its y coordinate. So the sine of 7 pi over 6 is negative 1/2. Now, what did we say? We said that in order to take this value, you have to do the positive angle, sine of the positive angle, then take the opposite. Okay, so we found the sine of the positive angle, which was negative 1/2. Now we take the opposite of that to get the actual answer that they were looking for. Okay, now this is not the method you have to use. Maybe you looked at this and said, I don't know where negative 7 pi over 6 is, but I'm pretty good at finding coterminal angles. So I'm going to add 12 pi over 6 to that because I know that 12 pi over 6 is 2 pi, and we end up with 5 pi over 6, right? So 5 pi over 6 is coterminal with negative 7 pi over 6. So if I wouldn't have to go through this entire process if I found a coterminal angle for that to start. And now I can say, what's the sine of 5 pi over 6? And it's this y coordinate, which is the 1/2 that I got here. Okay, so this is what, if you look at the first video in this sequence, I talked about if you're really good with the unit circle, and if you're really good with finding coterminal angles, you don't necessarily need the idea of even and odd functions. You don't need to use that tool. You already have a tool that you're very good with. Okay, so just keep that in the back of your mind. This is for people that, is this a shortcut? Yeah, it's kind of a shortcut. Okay, how do you find the cotangent of negative 5 pi over 6? Cotangent is an odd function. So if you want to do the cotangent of a negative angle, find the cotangent of the positive angle and then take the opposite. So what's the cotangent of negative 5 pi over 6? Well, let's do the cotangent of positive 5 pi over 6. And 5 pi over 6, we just saw that. Sorry, guess I didn't need to erase that, do we? 5 pi over 6 is here. The cotangent is x over y, right? So this ends up, let me give myself some space here. Okay, so this ends up being, oops, come on now, there we go. Negative radical 3 over 2 over 1/2, which is negative radical 3 over 2 times 2 over 1 when I flip this over and multiply. So I get negative radical 3. Now this, again, this is the output for the cotangent of the positive angle. So the cotangent of the negative angle, I take the opposite of that. I get radical 3 as my answer. Okay, so again, there's a little bit of back and forth. Okay, I find the positive angle, then I find the value, then I flip it back. Okay, so it is kind of going two different directions. All right, if you wanted to just find a coterminal angle for negative 5 pi over 6 and then just find the cotangent of that, that would work too. Okay, so just adding more tools to the toolbox here.